roll, please.
David Burritt.
Here.
J.R. Nelson.
Here.
Deborah Johnston.
Here.
Bill Lucas.
Here.
Larry Pratt.
Here.
Craig Comey.
Here.
Caitlin Turner. Linda Barbell.
Here.
Thank you.
Mike, you know,
Thank you.
I don't think yours is either.
Carl, you got any idea what might be going on? We got some crackling.
I don't think any of the mics are working.
Testing, testing.
No.
I shut you all down to get rid of it because it'll pop. So I came on.
Oh.
Hey, there's my buddy.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, that's pretty ball.
As always, remember if you have a conflict of interest, let the council know before you vote. Need a motion to approve an amended agenda. And Misty will keep me on track here. We have a change to the current claims. The current claims will go from $59,465.05 to $62,090.05, and I'll explain how we get there. And the accounts payable will go from $12,568.66 to $9,938.96. So the accounts payable on page 1, those are the bills that starts out with a total at the top of $12,568. That changes because on the first page, the builder's first source, we get a credit of $4.70 from them, making a new total of $8,645. And on page 2, Evergreen Media should not have been on accounts payable, so it was moved to current claims. So that's how we get from the original amount of $12,568 to $9,938 for the accounts payable. And the current claims, because we moved that $2,625 from Evergreen Media to the current claims, that one goes up from $59,465.05 to $62,090.05. Did I get that right, Misty?
Sounded good.
And then Councilman Romy, I believe, has an amendment to the council or to the agenda also.
New business. Number H. Instead of 801 South Chicago Street for the Mueller Center, should be 801 South 6th Street.
I make a motion to approve an amended agenda showing current claims at $62,090.05 and accounts payable at $99,938.96. And under new business item H, the address should read Mueller Civic Center, 801 South 6th Street.
I second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Need a motion to approve the minutes from the January 18th council meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 18th council meeting.
Second motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Need a motion to approve the bills in between?
I make a motion to approve the bills in between for $223,375.25.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Need a motion to approve the current claims and the accounts payable.
Make a motion to approve the current claims, $62,090.05, and account payables, $9,938.96.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Bowles Engineering for $1,007.50.
What page?
Page 9.
That's a popular one tonight. Bros Engineering, if you remember, they were the engineers that managed the Jennings Bridge replacement. The American Legion approached Tracy, and if I don't get this quite right, Tracy, if you'd kind of straighten me out, but one of the members of the American Legion approached Tracy and wanted to have the discussion about what they believed was damage to the American Legion building from the pile driving during the bridge reconstruction. So I asked Tracy to talk with Bros Engineering. They were the city's engineering firm that managed that. To have a conversation with them and see if they would be willing to meet with us and the American Legion to try to understand if, in fact, the pile driving caused any damage to the American Legion building. So this one's on me. I felt it was appropriate that we be able to help the American Legion understand whether they, in fact, had any damage due to our bridge replacement project. So when I asked Tracy to contact Bros Engineering, because they had been our contractor, I wasn't expecting that they would bill us to come down and give us that advice. So that's the reason it's there.
So you're the one that spent $1,000. Oh, Tracy did. He called it.
No, that's on me. I asked Tracy to contact Bros Engineering to see if they could help us come to a decision about whether our contractor had caused any damage to the American Legion building.
If it did, but did it cause damage to the building?
No, I don't know if this is on or not. One of the fortunate things, and of course Bob and I discussed this because I was rather shocked by the bill, but fortunately the bridge engineers, they reached out to the contractor, and apparently the contractor has been around the block a few times on projects like this, and they had preemptively taken pictures of the American Legion building, very thorough pictures, to look for any damage, any cracks that were pre-existing, and we got those files, and all of the damage that was being reported was absolutely the same in July of 2020 before the operation on the bridge began. So it did settle the issue.
I'm well aware of the fact that I cannot spend money. Only the council can do that. Had I expected to see a bill from Bros Engineering, we would not have proceeded until council gave the authority to do that. So this is a lesson well learned. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Motion to approve the Wells Fargo credit cards.
Make a motion to approve Wells Fargo credit card for $6,851.72.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Next on the agenda is communications from the public, but we also have a 7:10 public hearing, and we're just almost on that 7:10 hearing. We'll take a few seconds here. All right, we have a 7:10 hearing on the public hearing on the 2021 Martin Street Sewer and Water Improvement Project assessment. Assessment roll. There is a resolution further down on the agenda for your consideration. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to speak on that?
Is it finished up there? Is that job done?
It's my understanding it's done, yes. Tracy?
What's that? You have to go to the mic. Well, I think I can speak up.
Can you give us your name, sir?
Is that job completed?
What is your name, sir?
Leland Macheski.
Thank you.
And I live right next door.
Tracy can answer you any questions you want.
Tracy over there.
The pipe is all in, that part of it, but the landscape finish up work, he was running into, well, he got, the big snowstorm. So he is coming back to just finish putting the landscape blankets down and clean up anything that's left. So it's 99% done. It's got 1% to go.
I didn't get to look at that assessment for all that. Am I on it?
Nope.
No, you would have noticed. You would have then sent certified letters. You would have had 3 by this point.
I got a question about it, because I would have probably went for getting active stuff. Will that work on the rest of that south of there?
Yes. It is deep enough to continue. If you would like sewer, is that what you're interested in, is sewer?
Right up next to it.
Yeah, we did put it deep enough we could go further south.
Later there'll be something
So to record this one.
We'll have to do something to be separate.
Yeah.
I just that prove it was put in by a
Yeah, you're under our grandfather clause as far as keeping your septic tank, but
Leland, we really need to have you use the microphone if you would, please, so that the folks that are watching this online or will review it will be able to hear your comments. Thank you.
like I say, I would have probably had some input on that earlier, but you guys are hard to get a hold of. You are. And I've got no complaints as long as I'm not on that assessment.
nope, you are not.
I got no complaints. I just come here to make sure of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leila.
Any other comments from the public? Any comments from council? All right. Why don't we go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:13. So we have another public hearing at 7:20. First communications from the public is Andrea Powers with Shedco. Andrea, are you here? So we've got about 6 minutes until we get our next public hearing.
I'm sure I won't be that long.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I just wanted to give you an update on the housing study application. It's all complete except for housing start numbers for 2016 to 22. 16 was our last published study. And then I need signatures from Jeff, and it's complete. And I'll send it in to South Dakota Housing Authority. And also, we received funding for the 2 charging stations, and I'd like to transfer that money to the city so that you don't have to pay nobody has to pay taxes for the charging stations, and I have the company that it should be ordered from. And I would also suggest that maybe we have somebody in a wheelchair give us a little advice on where they should be placed. I looked and looked for where one should have chargers for wheelchairs along a pathway, and I couldn't find anything under ADA compliance. So we can cut you a check How often do you hear that? Thank you.
Does council have any questions for Andrea?
No, sounded good.
All right.
Thank you.
For the public, Andrea talked about some charging stations. There will be a charging station at the Centennial picnic area there, and then a charging station will be down at the Brookside. Council approved purchasing enough materials to put up a shelter at the Brookside also, so that people in wheelchairs or handicapped folks, as they're walking along the Freedom Trail, if they get in inclement weather, there is somewhere for them to get out of the weather and be able to charge whatever devices they have with them. So thank you, Andrea, for submitting for that funding for those charging stations. And I believe you're also working on a handicapped picnic table for the Brookside location also.
I met with Dennis Fisher, superintendent of the schools today, and he said he would make a request to have some ADA compliant tables built of wood. They can't fabricate yet until they get the new building, the new technology building built. So they'll have to be wood until then.
All right. Thank you. So we still have a few minutes before our 7:20 public hearing. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council?
I would. Wes Grimes, Ward 3. I see on your agenda tonight you're going to go ahead and probably pass this raise for the police department. I think there really ought to be a caveat on there. You guys have given to the police department everything they've asked for in the last couple of years. I don't understand why we're not writing citations on the city statute. You're asking the taxpayers, it's going to be an increase, I'm sure, again in their budget next spring. You guys have had an unbalanced budget for 2 years, partly due to the police department, partly due to other things. So I think it's only fair that you make the police department write these tickets on the city statute and help them actually generate some income. They're going to write the ticket no matter what. So why not have them the income come to the city instead of the county? I'm at a loss.
I agree with you, Wes. We've talked about this many times.
There's no reason it shouldn't be. There's just absolutely none. No other town does this. None. I've checked. I sat on that side of the table before. I did my due diligence for years. It's insane.
It's fair criticism, Wes.
Okay.
Anyone else?
And why don't we start doing that?
We'll have the conversation.
Okay.
Right now we're short.
Well, I know that, but they still patrol all over town.
When they're not doing other things, yes.
We're going to write the ticket regardless.
Do you want me to address anything that
Go ahead, Bill. You got about a minute.
Wes, we have looked at it. Right now, when a speeding ticket is written, it's written on a state statute, and if that fine is actually, if they're found guilty, and that fine is paid, it goes into a state fund, and that's how training is paid for law enforcement. It's also, when it's tried in court by the state's attorney. So there's no cost to the city. If we write that ticket on a city ordinance that is tried in, I believe it's magistrate court, and we would have to bring the city attorney down to prosecute that. In order to make it cost effective, we would probably have to try at least 10 cases in one court setting and win each and every case just to break even in order to pay our city attorney. So it is really more cost-effective to write it on the state statute, let the state's attorney prosecute it, and fund the training for our police officers.
That's not the only citations they write. You're asking the citizens to pay for police protection, which basically they're giving the money to the county. So I don't understand.
It's not going to the county.
Sure, a portion of it does go to the county. That's not the only citation you write, it's a speeding citation. There's a lot of citations wrote on the side streets that could be collected by the city. Bill, you forget, I sat on that side of the fence.
I know you have, Wes.
I don't know how many times you've given me that excuse, the rest of the people give me that excuse, but it doesn't move through.
Well, it's the numbers we've run, and you asked for an explanation. I've given you an explanation. You don't like it, so thanks for the question. You've got my answer.
All right, so we're at 7:21. Let's go to the 7:20 public hearing, and if we need to continue this discussion, we will. But right now, we have a 7:20 public hearing for a temporary alcoholic beverage license application from the Mammoth site for their murder mystery night event scheduled for March 29th and April 29th and April 30th at the Mammoth site, 1800 U.S. Highway 18 bypass. If you have anybody from the public who'd like to speak to this. Council, do you have any questions, comments? All right, close the public hearing at 7:22. Need a motion to approve, deny, or table?
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary alcoholic beverage license application from the Mammoth site for their murder mystery night event scheduled for April 29th and 30th at the Mammoth site, 1800 U.S. Highway 18 bypass.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Wes, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I guess I would like to add one quick thing. With this raise for the police from the other one.
Wes, I'm not trying to be rude, but can you use the microphone so we can get it on recording?
This raise you're going to give to the Evans-Plunkett Police Department, I have watched the people in the other department heads passed over and passed over and passed over. What do you guys think you're going to do to the morale with the rest of the city employees? Has anyone taken that into consideration?
Yes, we have, Wes.
Yep.
There's a lot of city employees. There isn't just two departments.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Got that?
Yes, sir.
So to answer your question more specifically, Wes, if you remember when you read the resolution proposing to raise the wages for the patrol officers and the police captain, the council also instructed myself, city administrator, and the city finance officer to within 45 days come back with a recommendation for wage increases for the rest of the employees in the city. We recognized when we did this that there was immediate need to get law enforcement officers. And we saw that we were having a problem hiring them at the wage that we were advertising for. So that's the reason that I advocated for raising the wages for the police department immediately so that we could get the department staffed where it needed to be. In December, they put in 244 hours of overtime. In January, they were projecting that they were going to put in over 300 hours of overtime. So we have a problem. We're working them to death. We're not working them to death, but we're overworking them. So we recognized that we had to address that one to begin with. And it was recommended that because they're first responders or life safety, that the Evans Plunge lifeguards were included in that one. There was a lot of discussion in council whether to do that or not, but that was the recommendation. So yes, we recognize that right now there are city employees that feel like they're being discriminated against. And I would just ask them to go back and look at the resolution and give council, give myself, give the city administrator, and give the finance officer an opportunity to look at what the next raises should be. We're not ignoring them, but we needed to address the police department to get them staffed to where the city deserves to have them staffed.
Not only were we having troubles getting applicants, we're also having troubles keeping our police officers after all the training we put them through. So this is also a retention as well as a recruitment tool.
Anything else?
I got something. At one time, we had a police officer, when we was fully staffed, driving around town, putting stickers on vehicles that was illegal. I got 3 of them. I thought it was a good idea. Are we going to go back to that? Because I still see vehicles parked on the wrong side of the street, illegally parked all over town. And I know we're short-staffed. But I was just wondering if we was going back to that when we get fully staffed.
That's certainly my expectation, yes.
Okay, that's all I ask.
I accept the fair criticism that we're not where we want to be right now.
I know.
We can talk about where we were, and that doesn't, that has nothing to do with where we're at right now. So let us get back to a department that's fully staffed, and we can begin looking at what we're going to do at that point. All of these are good valid points, but we're not there right now. So let's address those issues when we have the manpower to be able to do something about it. All right. I get a motion to approve personnel actions A through... No. Communications from the public. Thank you, Misty. Ryan?
Mayor?
So our next scheduled communications from the public is Ryan and Stacy Hanna. Requesting a petition for utilities, water and sewer assessment district to serve 4 lots located in the Hot Springs Industrial Park. Ryan or Stacy, are you here? Do you have anything you'd like to share with the council? All right. Council, you have a letter that they wrote to you asking for the assessment district? Want to give them opportunity to speak to you if they wanted to? All right. Anyone else? Communications from the public.
My name's Ryan Engel, 1445 Albany Avenue. Just a quick question. I know beating a dead horse here, but I'm turning down the beer and wine license for the Dollar General due to another business causing issues with that. I'm wondering if there are plans in place to maybe push some stuff, get the skyline taken care of, so that maybe the Dollar General can operate to their full extent, like pretty much all their other locations.
I live over there by the Dollar General, and I will tell you one thing. Even without the license, that place, I've heard it's busy all the time. My transit bus by there anytime part of the day, it's busy. I go home, I go to the general public. I have noticed when driving the bus that there's more people coming over to that dollar store than there are the other stores on the other side of town. So. Bro.
Mine's working.
Thanks, guys. I live over there by the Dollar General, and I have noticed that it's not, their business isn't hurting, okay? They're busy all the time. I've also noticed that driving the transit bus around and on the other side of the other 2 stores over there, The Dollar General stays pretty busy. The other one up the hill by RC Springs, it seems to have slowed down a little bit more. But like I said, I've noticed that place is really stays busy. So.
Yeah, it does stay busy, but I mean, there's potential for more business. We're restricting that business based solely on another business not taking care of their own mess.
I understand that.
It's not a very welcoming thing for any other business that might want to come to town.
Well, you know, in the last year, there have been a lot of businesses that have been opened up downtown. So I don't see the relevancy in saying that.
Have we restricted any
that
other
we're
businesses
restricting
like
somebody
that?
from having a business in town.
But have we restricted any other businesses like that because of another business not being able to take care of their problems?
You know, here's the thing. Unless it's in your backyard, it doesn't affect you.
I live in Hot Springs. Everything's in my backyard.
I know that, but you don't live over by me. And you haven't had people crossing your property. You haven't had individuals walking up and down the street drinking from that place. You haven't seen the things I've seen in 20 years, okay? And I have made numerous phone calls. I have gone out of my way to help public safety to get tags, pictures, seeing drug activity firsthand, willing to go to court to say, I saw this, okay? And I've been doing that for close to 20 years. I've had individuals come on my property, okay? I've had an individual one night show up on my property at 11 o'clock, chase my wife back in the house, tried to come in the house, and I had to run him off my property and call the police to come down and remove him from there, okay? I'm not the only one. I've got my other neighbor, okay? There were some individuals that lived there at the Skyline. He pulled his car out on the side of the street. My neighbor next door, they went up to his vehicle and tried to get into it. We're looking in there. He walks out, can I help you? What's going on? They said, oh, we're just looking at our friend's vehicle. Okay. Neighbor up the next house right there. Okay. They've had people come up on their front porch, knocking on the doors. They parked in their driveway. They play loud music. Okay. The house right next to it. Last couple of summers ago, there was a individual that decided that he wanted death by cop, okay? So he ran down there. He was just come out of treatment. His girlfriend broke up with him. He was over there, okay? All goes hand in hand. This isn't about saving corporate America. This is about alcoholism. This is about enabling.
It's about, but my question is, are we doing anything? Walmart's been there for a couple of years now with the
I haven't seen anything.
Why not? I'm just wondering
As far as I'm concerned, if they decide that they don't want to clean up and do something, I have the right to get an attorney. We have a right in that region over there to get an attorney and file a class lawsuit against them so that we have a right to live in peaceful existence in our territory. Okay?
All right, so to answer your question directly, Ryan, the city administrator and I are going to be meeting with the owner of the Skyline this Thursday to have a discussion about what we can do there. He reached out to me, I believe on Friday, and I responded to him that I'd be happy to meet with him. And so we set up a meeting to talk with him on Thursday.
Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to know. If there was something in place, I know there was a promise of trying to clean the place up, evict people when there's trouble. According to Bill's numbers that he gave, the calls have increased since they took over. So that's all I want to know is if there's something in place, some sort of plan, see if we can get them to take care of their problems so we don't have to further restrict other businesses or anything like that.
We'll start by having a conversation with the property owner and see where that gets us.
Okay, thank you.
Carl, got any help for us?
It's not working either.
All right, So is now the council's microphones working?
Testing.
Hello?
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 Is anybody hearing that?
Council, would you speak louder so the audience can
Testing.
They're not working.
I'm Ken Pesher. I live at 236 South Dakota Street. And I wasn't going to address this deal with Dollar General until somebody else did. But I guess I have some real feelings with that. So I believe that Dollar General did not get their permit based on things that have absolutely nothing to do with the criteria for obtaining a permit. And I guess I don't understand what the deal was. You just gave the Mammoth site a license to sell liquor. And Larry, I'm sorry, my friend, but as far as I'm concerned, this whole deal, due to the fact that you live there, and this is personal for you, is a conflict of interest. And I do not believe that you should have been able to vote or that you should be able to entertain in the discussion according to codified law. So I guess, and you talk about, I guarantee you, my friend, that even if there wasn't liquor down on the corner, an alcoholic can get liquor. I know. I'm a recovering alcoholic with 41 years of sobriety. So I've been there. And I listened to you talk about speaking for the veterans. I'm sorry, my friend, but you don't speak for the veterans because I'm a veteran and you don't speak for me. Thank you.
Garland, the questions that was raised as far as conflict of interest was put to me. I sent an email to Garland to ask him to look into what is considered a conflict of interest. But the guidance that Garland gave us as far as the actual vote on the Dollar General liquor license has to do with the character of the people that are, asking for the license, and it also does speak to location. Location can be considered as far as whether the council approves or disapproves a liquor license. It's very broad in how they interpret that, but location is appropriate. So Dollar General, the denial for the license had everything to do with the location and not the character of the company that was applying for it. And the second part of it is as far as conflict of interest. Garland, if you would share with us. What do you need to do to stop the crackling?
I'll just speak real loud. As far as conflicts of interest goes, basically two criteria that you look at. You first look to see if the council member has basically a pecuniary interest. Are they going to make any money, or do they have any money interest involved in it? And it has to be a direct interest. So, for example, if voting for or against that license would make that council person money, okay? The second way a conflict of interest is determined is if at the time of the vote, 2/3 of the council members vote to say that that council member has a conflict of interest. The issue wasn't raised at the hearing, so basically it appears that the council didn't feel there was a conflict of interest at that time. So that's how a conflict of interest is determined. Basically, it's if the person can make money, if they have some financial interest in it, or if the council determines that they have a conflict of interest at that time.
However, I would like to have you, since you've recited those two for conflict of interest, would you please read the paragraph that goes before that determines those two issues fall under however this may happen. In the above statements, it says it has nothing to do with whether they're making money or whether the council is voted or not.
That's 6116?
6117 is the official prohibited from discussing or voting on issue if conflict exists.
It's under a codified law.
I think it's 6117.
Yeah, the statute is 6117. Officials prohibited from discussing or voting on issue if conflict of interest exists. And the two, I'm going to read the exact wording. They have a conflict of interest if the official has a direct pecuniary interest in the matter before the governing body, or at least 2/3 of the governing body votes that the official has an identifiable conflict of interest that should prohibit such official from voting on a specific matter. So either they got a money interest or the council determines they have a conflict of interest.
Here again, you must be the lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just read the part you want.
No, that's
Tim? Tim?
And it's not.
Tim, would you come back, please? Would you come back, please?
Yeah.
I believe what you want read is...
Read the whole thing from the very beginning.
Please. Chance?
Please.
No county, municipal, or school official may participate in discussing or vote on any issue in which the official has a conflict of interest. Am I reading what you want me to read? Each official shall decide if any potential conflict of interest requires such official to be disqualified from participating in discussing or voting. However, no such official... However, no such official may participate in discussing or vote on any issue if the following circumstances apply. That's what Garland read to you.
Right.
Is that if there's a...
When I read that before that, it would have been, since Larry had a personal interest in it, it should have been up to him to say that I have a personal interest in this, and therefore I disqualify myself as conflict of interest.
I'll read it again, but it doesn't say anything about a personal interest. No county, municipal, or school official may participate in discussing or vote on any issue in which the official has a conflict of interest. So it's up to them to determine whether they feel have a conflict of interest. It doesn't specifically say personal. Each official shall decide if any potential conflict of interest requires such official to be disqualified from participating in discussion or voting. However, no such official may participate in discussing or vote on an issue if the following circumstances apply.
Okay, I'll let that go, but I'm under the opinion that the license itself was entirely voted on, irregardless of what is necessity to have a license. And if you want to pick, you know, locale, those up on the hill are just up the street from low-cost housing. So what's the difference? And this leaves, with this kind of a vote, and with the reasoning you're using, it leaves Dollar General absolutely, they can't go in and clean that motel out. They can't fix it. You've tied their hands. How are they, you know, if you come up and said, well, you know, I own a bar and the sidewalk's broke, so you're not going to give me my license till I fix the sidewalk, I can fix that because that's under my control. But these guys have no control over that motel. Right?
Right.
Right. So you've given them no way out. No way at all. Which I don't think is fair to any business. If Dewdrop Inn decides they want to open up a brewery, you're going to shut them down? Because they're just down the street.
I agree with you, and that's why I voted that they should get the license, because Yesway, Dakota Mart, Big Bats, they all have the same liquor license requested, another Dollar General. They're all backed up against residential areas. So I have to agree with you.
Like I say, I wasn't going to say anything until the other gentleman brought it up, but I was going to just sit back and see if anybody'd do anything, but
and as a registered nurse, I've taken care of alcoholics for 40-some years, and no matter what, they will get it if they want it.
Correct.
Having it next door is not going to make it any worse or better than them having to get in their car and drive to get it. Pay for enough to drive to get it.
well, I just say, you know, there's no, it's a, you know, unless the city would like to build a really nice halfway house for these guys that are living up there, so they'd have a place to go besides that motel when they're, my understanding is some of them come from the Dom.
Can I interject something here? I appreciate your point of view. We had the hearing last week, last meeting.
No, you didn't.
2 weeks ago. I understand your frustration. I voted for it also. We've got a long agenda. I personally would like to get on with it, unless there's something new to be said that the vote has been taken.
All I mainly want to do is let the people know to have my voice on record, as opposed to the many other people that I read about in Facebook and chat and all the other deals on the computer that are upset over this vote that you guys give. So I've had my say.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Also appreciate the fact that you actually came up and said what you had to say. So yes, thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Can I ask one more question? A quick question? If you're going to vote anyway, if you make a motion to accept something, and there's a second to that motion, one of the guys votes for the motion, and the other guy votes against the motion, I'm confused. I thought if you made a motion, you were for it. If you seconded the motion, you were for it. I'm confused, fellas. I don't understand.
To discuss it. So oftentimes, and you guys can speak for yourselves, but oftentimes they'll make or second a motion so that they can have discussion around it.
Until the motion is actually put in, there is no point of discussion, because you don't get there until one brings up the motion and then the second one seconds it. then your discussion time comes in, Tim.
Right, but if I was against something, would I second the motion to do it?
So you can get in your vote, yeah, and get...
If nobody seconds the motion, it don't go anywhere.
And that's where I appreciate that the council is willing to second every motion. I think it's an easy way out to not second a motion, so you don't have to discuss it. You don't have to go on the record about why you're for it or against it. So I appreciate the council is willing to second every motion.
I was just
so there
confused.
can be that open discussion, and then they decide whether they're going to vote on it or how they're going to vote on it.
Okay, thank you. I was just confused how it worked.
I got a question. This is for our attorney. If somebody changes, if they think they have a conflict on that vote, after the vote, can they say something and then they go to a tiebreaker? Because I work for the guy that owns a motel. And I guess, you know, it wasn't nothing to do with motel until Larry brought it up. So I don't know if that's conflict. If it is, I should bow out of that and then go to the mayor for a tie.
Let me look at the statute. The statute says something to that.
While he looks that up, I'd just like to make the comment that these resolutions have 2 readings. And at both of these ordinances, okay. And we had all negative comments at both of the readings, and no one supported or backed up Dollar General's application. So, you know, that just makes the point that people need to come and say they're for something as well as being against it, because I believe the decision was made based on the negative comments that were made against it when there was no support for it. So the community has to be involved with these things as well.
So to answer your question, it says if the official has a direct pecuniary interest, a money interest, in the vote, then their vote would be invalidated, and that's the remedy. So if you feel it, it had to be a discussion. If you think you have it has to be a direct.
Well, I don't make money off anything Dollar General does, but like I say, I work for the guy that owns a motel. So I don't know if that's a conflict for voting the way I did or not.
Not really.
The determination would be if you made money somehow with a yes vote or a no vote. I don't think you'd make money.
No, okay.
So I don't think that's a direct financial interest.
Okay, thank you.
Good point. Any other communications from the public?
Do you have a council update from Olivia from the chamber?
All right. Because there's no more communications from the public, we have a council update. Olivia, have you persevered through all this?
I've got a loud voice. On the stage. Good evening, Mayor Nelson, City Council, City personnel, and community members. Thank you for inviting me to give the Hot Springs Chamber's report. As we start our new year, I'm extremely pleased to report that over the past Christmas, over 20,000 chamber bucks were purchased from the chamber. And as chamber bucks are only spendable in Hot Springs, this means that all those dollars stayed in our local economy. The chamber doesn't make any money off the sale of chamber bucks. We carry the costs of printing checks, bank fees, and maintenance of the accounts, which we're very happy to do because this ensures that money is spent at our local businesses. And we appreciate everyone who purchases chamber bucks and would like to remind people that they're available year-round, not just during the Christmas season. Following an extremely successful 2021 visitor season, our 2022 started on a positive note in January with the Governor's Conference in Tourism once again holding an in-person conference, which I was privileged to attend. This conference gives us the opportunity to meet with other tourism professionals and stay up to date with what the Department of Tourism has planned for the coming year, which helps guide our own marketing choices. We have already placed a number of marketing elements, such as the double-page spread in the South Dakota Vacation Guide, which is the premier publication of South Dakota. We'll again have a full page in Traveler magazine, as well as a full page in the Black Hills Visitor. Our Black Hills and Badlands Tourism Association elements are in place, with a visible presence at their visitor center online and in the Black Hills Badlands Vacation Guide. We'll be well presented at the trade and travel shows that Black Hills and Badlands attend, where they hand out our Hot Springs brochure. We're also participating in a direct mail co-op with South Dakota Tourism, where we're present in a mail piece that is sent out to 70,000 targeted homes. We'll also be featured in a dedicated section of SD Tourism's Travel Smart emails in June and July in the form of a custom partner spotlight. We have a full page in Black Hills Visitor magazine, and we again have collaborated with Custer, Hill City, Keystone, and Southern Hills Vacation Guide, which is produced by Evergreen Media. And we're currently working with the Fall River County Herald Star to create this year's Hot Springs Welcome magazine. With the Good Board, we're participating in the South Dakota Department of Tourism Matching Funds campaign for a $40,000 match with South Dakota Tourism for a total campaign spend of $80,000. We plan to continue our summer television advertising co-op. Last year we sponsored a successful TV co-op with KEB and Fox, which enabled 15 businesses to participate with some television advertising. We hope to build on that this year and include more businesses if possible. We're also running digital campaigns through Facebook as well as boosted posts, and are currently working on some other digital campaigns that will run through summer and through the shoulder season. And I've just lost my place. We generally follow the same target audience as South Dakota Tourism, the main 5 states being Colorado, Minnesota, Nebraska, Wyoming, and eastern South Dakota. We're confident that we're very well positioned with our marketing for a good 2022 visitor season. Each year, the Chamber also produces the city map and a dining guide for our visitors' convenience. We also offer local businesses a 2-page laminated quick reference cheat sheet, and this is for use by frontline personnel to assist visitors with questions about our attractions, dining, mileage, and other frequently asked questions. Our annual Chamber meeting and awards dinner will take place on March 19th, where we honor businesses and individuals with awards in the following categories: Retail, Hospitality, and Service Businesses of the Year, the Community Pride, Excellence in Digital Media, and the Directors Award, as well as the Joyce Farrell Youth Volunteer of the Year Award and Citizen of the Year Award. The dinner will be catered by local dining and catering members, with each business providing an appetizer paid for the Chamber, which creates a taste of Hot Springs, a unique meal for our guests, and also offers businesses the opportunity to showcase their menu. We hope that you'll be able to attend, and invitations will go out sometime this month. Also in March, on the 25th, we will host our annual Southern Hills Job Fair to assist businesses in recruiting full and part-time personnel. Last year's job fair had 19 participating businesses. April sees the Chamber sponsoring and organizing the Community Easter Egg Hunt, which will take place at Butler Park on April 16th. In that same month, we hope to see our Spring Fling Home Show take off again, and the Spring Fling is slated to take place on April 30th, and we look forward to renewed participation and interest. In May, we plan on offering our annual hospitality and customer service training, which consists of basic customer service training as well as familiarization training, where representatives from our local attractions come and give a short talk on their business to familiarize the participants with what they have to offer and to catch us up on any new additions or changes. This is a free service provided by the Chamber. We also host the Come and Get It Day in May, where we distribute the Black Hills maps from Black Hills and Badlands, our own city maps, welcome magazines, vacation guides, and other literature available for businesses to use to promote hot springs. This is also a convenient time for our members to drop off their promotional literature and materials to be displayed at the Chamber and the Depot Information Centre. We'll be opening the depot the week of Memorial Day weekend and plan to run it through Labor Day weekend. We then start to assess the amount of visitor traffic coming through town to determine when to close the depot. If there are enough visitors to warrant staying open, we will remain open through part or all of September. Last year we remained open until September 30th. Memorial Day weekend also brings us to the Wine Walk and Cut event, which serves as the unofficial kickoff to peak tourism season, and we hope it will be as busy and exciting as it was in 2021. The Chamber has also added 2 new events to our lineup. One is the new Santa Hat late night shopping spree, which took place in December. This is a new event designed to encourage Christmas shopping in Hot Springs. And this weekend saw the first Chili Cook-Off concert that took place on February 5th, which combined the fun of a chili cook-off with a concert to thank the local musicians who played at the Balloon Festival last August. So regarding Balloon Festival, we have already started working on the Chamber's Festival for this year, and we're excited to announce that Tammy Schrum will be our 2022 Balloon Master. Tammy Schrum was the innovator behind the Glow Around Town that was premiered last year, with all the balloons being around Hot Springs and lit up, which created a magical spectacle. And Tammy also acted as our safety officer and ride coordinator, and she and her husband Mike Schrum helped create our emergency response plan. Our festival founder, Petra Wilson, will continue to be part of the festival and help us coordinate local crew, but as the festival grows, she has time constraints that prohibit her from taking a larger role. We will be sending out sponsorship requests in the near future, and we really hope that people will once again support this festival financially. We have exciting new things planned, but cannot do it without the necessary budget. It costs around a minimum of $1,000 per balloon to run a festival of this size. So if we want to keep the festival at 30 balloons, we hope to see new sponsorships and more sponsorships. I will keep you informed as things progress. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you a Chamber of Commerce update. Please don't hesitate to contact me or stop by the Chamber offices for any questions, suggestions. Thank you.
Council? A couple questions. When did you say the depot's open?
The week before Memorial Day weekend. I don't have the exact date, like the Monday or We did open it earlier Friday, but it seems like the season has shifted, and so we'd rather stay open later than during those payroll hours with not many people coming through the early May.
And what are the tourism experts predicting for this year?
A very good season. Honestly, South Dakota is very well positioned. People want to go traveling. They want to have the freedom of the open spaces. South Dakota is also very well known for hospitality, which people are wanting to go to a hospitable place with a lot of options. And the great outdoors is still a very premier request for people. Where can we go outside? We may not have seen as bad effects of COVID restraining us in South Dakota, but for people in other states, they had a very hard time of it. So where we are is a very attractive destination, and that includes hot springs. It filters all around, so they were very positive about what's coming up in 2022 as well. They estimate, all things being equal, we'll see similar tourism figures, which I really hope.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Can I get a motion on personnel actions A through E?
Make a motion to approve personnel actions items A through.
Second.
There you go, Larry's second.
You can ask about that girl.
Discussion?
Yeah, on item H, we have on the new hires, the first one there, and we go down to O, and her name's down here, and she's resigned not in good standing. I'm just curious about that.
That is correct. She worked a few days, so you have to approve her hire at her rate of hire, and she did not give 2 weeks' notice, and she has paid back her certification training.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. First ordinance item A, is second reading of ordinance 1240.
Make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 1240, an ordinance transferring 20 lots in Boulder Falls Addition from rural service district to urban service district.
Second.
Discussion. Misty, would you call the roll, please?
David Burris.
Yes.
J.R. Huddleston.
Yes.
Deborah Johnston. Yes. Bill Lukens.
Yes.
Larry Pratt.
Yes.
Craig Romey.
Yes.
Linda Barbell.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes. Take us to resolutions. Resolution A, resolution 2022-7, resolution approving a special assessment roll.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution for special assessment roll for the 2021 Martin Street Sewer and Water Improvement Project. Second.
Are there any of the folks affected by this assessment district that are here that would like to speak to the council? Tracy, you have any comments about it?
Nope.
Council?
It's done. Done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business item A, possible motion discussion to accept the resignation of Ward 4 Council Member Caitlin Turner.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Ward 4 Council Member Caitlin Turner Green, effective immediately.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. I want to thank Caitlin for everything she has done for this city. Sharp gal. Great council person. Sorry she's no longer with us.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Misty, did you know that Craig departed?
Yes, thank you.
That I said?
There was a motion for the, no, didn't hear anything.
Okay? After the motion, or do you want the motion?
I understand the motion was to accept her resignation.
And then my comments were, after we got the second, my comments were to thank Caitlin for the fine job she's done for this city. We appreciate her, and we're sorry that she's no longer going to be on the council.
Thank you.
She was a good council person.
What?
She was a good council person.
Well, she just became mine in the last 2 weeks.
And like the council, I would like to thank Caitlin for the time that she served Ward 4. I appreciate that. After we vote. Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, let's see whether the council accepts the resignation or not, and then I'll speak to that. Okay? All right. Craig's back.
We were watching.
Hi, Craig.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. So, To your question, Tim?
Mayor?
Yes.
With the sound system the way it is, I asked the police department if they had a megaphone available. They say they do at the police department and could run and get it if you wish.
Counsel?
No, my suggestion is if you can't hear, please come down to the front. Then you can hear us a little bit. Just a couple seats down, come on down so you can hear us.
All right. Your question, Tim. Tomorrow, the city will go ahead and put a notice on our website that there's a vacancy in Ward 4, asking anyone interested in filling out the remainder of the term. Pardon?
Till the next election, till July.
Okay, so she's at the end of her 2 years.
Yes, she is.
Yes. To fill out an application and submit it to City Hall by February 22nd is our next council meeting. So the council will have those resumes available to them for review and see if they want to appoint somebody to fill Caitlin's spot.
That is just for Ward 4?
Just for Ward 4, yes. Yep. That's the only vacancy we have by the council accepting Caitlin's resignation.
Anybody from all over town couldn't just come in and say, well, I'd like to be a council. They have to be from Ward 4.
Yes. Yep. So we'll put that on the city's website. I hope that the newspaper will also put a notice in.
Probably the newspapers, it's 2 weeks late. Everything's said and done before it gets out. I enjoy the newspaper, don't get me wrong, newspaper people.
It's important that all 4 wards have equal representation. The conversation could be, well, we're not that far off from an election, just go ahead and keep it vacant until someone runs in Ward 4 and is elected to take office in July. But I've asked Misty to go ahead and help me get the notices out so that we can get something in front of council for them to accept someone to fill the vacant spot. Does that answer your question? All right. New business item B, a possible motion discussion to set a public hearing.
Make a motion to set a public hearing on February 22nd, 2022 at 7:15 p.m. for the proposed resolution of necessity for the assessment of properties located within the proposed Galveston Heights Water and Sanitary Sewer Improvement District. Second.
Discussion?
I would note that this is the letter, this is tied to the letter that you received and the folks that were in the back that petitioned you. Tracy gave us the name, the Galveston Heights Water and Sewer Improvement Assessment District, and all property owners in the area are sent certified mailings of all of the hearings and times that you consider these requests, so they will be notified.
Ryan and Stacy, you still back there?
I think they
are. All right. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business item C, a possible motion discussion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the airport rescue grant.
Make a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the airport rescue grant agreement for $32,000 to provide funding for costs related to operations, personnel, cleaning, and sanitation at the Hot Springs Municipal Airport.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. You were really loud.
Thank you.
Stereo. New business item D, possible motion discussion or approve updates to the City of Hot Springs personnel policy.
I make a motion to approve the updates to the
City of Hot Springs personnel policy. Updates include removing annual carryover maximum number of hours for vacation leave and removing the mayor-approved cashing out of vacation time.
Second.
We need to delete the last part of the paragraph that says up to the annual carryover maximum, which on the paperwork we received was crossed out.
It's on page 27, it's the paragraph underneath the table, and it's the last sentence, or after the comma in the last sentence.
Yeah, just the last part of the last sentence after the comma.
Just not applicable since you're removing the annual carryover maximum.
So, JR and Bill, both of you had the same question regarding this change. Would you like to speak to the question you had?
So, my understanding is this change eliminates the maximum number of hours of vacation that can be carried over from year to year. So an employee, whatever they earn in a year can be carried over, and if that vacation stacks, they can continue to carry that over. However, the limit on what we will pay them when they leave employment is still capped out at the limits listed. So we encourage employees to utilize their annual vacation, but we will not limit them on what they can carry over from year to year. So whatever they earn, they can either take or carry over from year to year. And so if they earn 80 hours and they only take 40, they can carry the 40, add it to the next year, and so it will build and continue to build until they use it. And then when they leave the city, they cannot cash out everything. We'll only pay them for what's listed in the policy as a maximum. But they will not lose vacation as long as they are still employed with the city, if I said that correctly.
Yes.
Except for the ones that's grandfathered in.
Yep, doesn't affect their retired, and then I would just add they have to leave in good standing to be eligible to get that payout limit.
See, the problem with this is it might come back to bite us. I mean, what if somebody has 4 or 5 years vacation because they never take it, and then all of a sudden they want to take it all at one time?
They have to leave in good standing.
No, I'm just saying, take all the vacation in one time, like take the summer off, and then come back to work for the winter.
I would say all leave has to be approved in advance by the department head.
And a lot of times, prior to retirement, employees will bank their vacations. So when they know they're getting 7 years out, 5 years out, 3 years out, they will bank all that, and they actually can retire and cashing out early as opposed to the original time period figure. So if you bank 2 years, say, over your career of vacation time, you could actually retire, leave the city 2 years prior, if I understand this correctly.
If their department head said they can.
But what is the max overall?
Go ahead and tell us, Misty.
Well, this is personnel related, and you would not allow 2 years of vacation time to be taken, and the vacation maximum payout is $5,000. So you calculate if you're not going to be here and working, how many hours that could be paid out.
And to the point of an employee taking 2 months vacation time prior to retirement, because all vacation has to be approved by the department head, If that's what they plan on doing, they need to talk with their department head and see if that's okay, if that can be allowed. And if the department head says, I can't let you go, we have a street project, we have a water project, we have a whatever, I can't allow you to be gone that long, that's not on the department head, that's on the employee for assuming that I'll bank 6 months of vacation and I'll take off the last half of the year. And then the second change has to do with cash in lieu of vacation time is permitted in the case of an emergency if approved by the mayor. I just see that as troublesome. It puts the city in a situation of an employee not taking any vacation for an extended period of time and then wanting to use it as a savings account or a banking account, and then up to each individual mayor to determine what in fact is or isn't an emergency. It just doesn't feel right by doing that. So I asked to have this particular one struck. We want employees to use their vacation for vacation time, not as a savings account.
So is there a limit on how many hours they can keep for vacation time build up?
No, not any longer. It was 240, and what you're voting on now is to change that.
To unlimited?
Well, based on your years of service, you earn a different number of hours per pay period. And so no, there would not be a limit any longer to the number of hours you can accumulate.
That does make for, if I'm reading it correctly, that does make for a nice little insurance policy. If there should be a catastrophic illness, that you would have that built up vacation time.
We have sick also.
Yeah.
And sick leave sharing.
And they, yeah.
Some of those been way over.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, wasn't that time with the FMLA also?
other employees
no.
donate
The Medical Leave Act?
if you run out. So it's a nice little insurance policy to have that extra time banked up in case of necessities of your family or your family.
There's a sick leave that people have a bank that people can use out of it?
We can donate.
Yeah, and they've done that for years.
You had a question?
Question, yeah.
Have you got a fund that takes care of this budget at the end of the year?
No, it's not budgeted in our deal.
We do have a liability on our financial statements, though, for the maximum amount at the end of the year that if everybody had to get paid out. We do track that liability. It's our salaries and wages budget. We do.
That was only $2,000.
It's $5,000 if you've been here for more than, it's at different amounts for different levels based on your years of service.
So the max is $5,000.
Yeah.
So why do we want to change this?
To not stop them at 240, to let them accrue more than that, and to change the ability for people to cash out in lieu of vacation time with mayor approval. Those are the two changes you're making.
Well, they always could cash out unless they've changed that. You don't want that anymore?
Only upon resignation in good standing.
I disagree with the vacation time.
People from, you get to the end of the year and you have the use or lose of the 240 hours. If you're going to go over that 240 hours, you're essentially going to lose those hours, and so everyone scrambles at the end of the year to utilize what they're going to be going over, and that puts a crunch on our department heads to fill the schedule, with everyone asking to get off at the end of the year when we still have business to take care of. So I think that's one thing it would take care of.
Do you disagree with both of them, Craig, or just one?
Just the vacation one.
annual carryover maximum?
I think it ought to stay like it is.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
The motion passes. New business item E, possible motion discussion to approve the plat of lot GC-41R.
Make a motion to approve plat of lot GC-41R, Boulder Falls Edition, Hot Springs, Collier County, South Dakota, formerly lot GC-41 and lot GC-42.
Second.
Discussion. So they're combining two lots into one lot. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item F, possible motion or discussion to accept the service proposal.
Make a motion to accept service proposal and to approve agreement for services in 2022 with True Green to include city parks for $8,460, Freedom Trail $1,350, Hot Springs Public Library of $480, Evergreen Cemetery $3,420, Mueller Center $1,240, and wastewater treatment plant for $1,428.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item G, possible motion or discussion to recognize and record the names of 3 suppliers.
Make a motion to recognize and record the name of 3 suppliers and their quotes received for the purchase of 8,000 gallons of 100-octane low-lead aviation gasoline by the Hot Springs Airport as required by South Dakota Codified Law 5-18C-6. Purchase will be made with Ascent Aviation Group World Fuel at $4.33 per gallon. Other vendors considered were MG Oil at $4.70 per gallon and Epic Fuels at $4.57. Price may vary as it fluctuates weekly.
Second. Discussion. Bill, this was talked about at the last airport advisory.
Yes, and next meeting we will, I'll have it in my report tonight, but we're going to request an increase in retail price from the current $5.25 a gallon up to $5.40 a gallon.
Any other questions? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item H, possible motion discussion to approve a special sale alcoholic beverage license.
I make a motion to approve a special sale alcoholic beverage license application from CS Inc. Doing business as Winter Circle for the Taste of Hot Springs event to be held on March 19th, 2022 at the Mueller Civic Center at 801 South 6th Street.
Second.
Discussion?
Where's 801 South 6th Street?
Yeah.
Oh, it ain't. I thought I just teased her. I was just kidding with you.
But you made her think.
I did.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. New business item 5, possible motion discussion to schedule a public hearing.
Motion to schedule a public hearing at 2/22/22 at 7:10 p.m. to act on a special sale alcoholic beverage license application from Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce for the Chamber Mixer event scheduled for 3/24/22 at Chautauqua Artisans Market at 629 North River Street.
Second one.
You sure about that address?
Is that the correct address, Craig?
I was asking him, are you sure about that address?
All right, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item J, possible motion discussion to approve travel training request.
Make a motion to approve travel training request for the airport manager, Rick Breitenbach, to attend the 2022 South Dakota Airport Conference and Pier on April 5th, 22, and April 7th, 22.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item K, possible motion discussion to authorize and approve allocating future contingency dollars.
Motion to authorize, approve, allocating future contingency dollars needed to exceed, not to exceed, excuse me, $23,000 to replace the maintenance department portable compressor trailer, which is non-operational and beyond economical repair.
Second.
Discussion. So this is replacing a very old piece of equipment. As most of us up here recognize, the older we get, the less reliable we are.
Hey, come on now. You're all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, that takes us to our committee reports. If you folks remember, our last council meeting ran long, so we deferred your reports from that meeting to tonight.
You never said that.
This may get wordy. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have minutes from last one.
All right, administrators and finance, yeah? All right, the first one will be from January 18th, 2022 meeting. It's held at 1 o'clock here at the Mueller Center. Members present were Misty Summers, Mayor Bob Nelson, J.R. Huddleston, co-chair. Old business, Florida Highway Fuel System repairs and agreement, awaiting new city administrator and PD chief. That was tabled, awaiting a briefing to the city administrator and PD chief. New business, review monthly officers report, finances continuing with the year-end closeout and audit progression. Discuss Keep U.S. Beautiful article from the Hot Springs Star. The W-2s were submitted, issues submitting the 1099 to the website. Volunteer compensation. Discuss providing water, coffee, donuts, etc. during certain events. Is the council willing to discuss that topic? Martin Street Sewer and Water Improvement Project assessment rate. The rate set at 5% on proposed resolution. Loan not to exceed $190,000. Oversized propane tank at the maintenance shop review. Recent fill and expense. Issues with a huge tank running out of propane. Price to fill far exceeded the pre-buy price. Turning over to Public Works to review for solution to the issue. Review of salary and wage rates and longevity increase percentages tabled to the next meeting. ARPA dollars suggested usage. Committee is looking at a potential for ARPA funding. More to follow. Proposed personnel policy changes to leave payout,
Committee recommends removal of cash in lieu of vacation time in case of an emergency. Committee member items, there were no further discussions. That meeting ended at 2:45 p.m. Next meeting was today, February 7th at 1 o'clock at the Mueller Center. J.R. Huddleston co-chair. Today's meeting was held at 1 o'clock here at the Mueller Civic Center. Present was Mayor Bob Nelson, Finance Officer Misty Summers Walton, Councilwoman Deborah Johnston, and the Chair J.R. Huddleston. Old business, however, Highway Fuel System repairs and agreement awaiting new City Administrator and PD Chief, no updates. New business, review to monthly Finance Officer reports, City Administrator cell phone $333.33 fee to cancel currently suspended. Suspended without payment, repurpose the phone, and we're reviewing in 6 months. W-2 corrections for 56 employees, SDRS participants, miscalculated Social Security and Medicare FICA taxes, explanation, corrected and sent out to the affected employees. Oversized propane tank at the maintenance shop review, recent fuel and expense, public works update, issues concerning the gauge, propose that any come back and re-educate on how to read it. Review of salary and wage rates and longevity increase percentages. This will be addressed on the finance report. ARPA dollars suggested usage. Our discussions are continuing. Animal control contract proposal from Battle Mountain Humane Society to $2,000 a month. Discussed a possible 3-year contract with option-year language. Misty will contact Humane Society. Committee member items, no new items to discuss. Meeting ended at 2:30. Next meeting is March 7th, 2022, 1 p.m. at the Mueller Civic Center. J.R. Huddleston, Chair.
Any questions for J.R.?
Yeah, what's this about the donuts and stuff?
Yeah.
We don't do that with taxpayers' money.
But you got my attention.
The conversation is, are you willing to discuss doing that?
Yeah, that was so it will be a discussion-only item on an upcoming council agenda.
Well, do you think we really need to? We've other ones in the past we all denied paying for, so.
Yes, and I would like to rediscuss it and talk about the reasons why I think we ought to.
On everyone, or just that one?
Not every council meeting. We'll discuss it.
No, I'm talking about the donuts and stuff.
We can arrive at the right decision.
Yeah. Okay, I'll argue it with you.
Will we have donuts along with it?
I just remember somebody turning down coffee when he's a councilman at City Hall. No, police department. Where was it?
Of course, it's been several places.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to discuss. We're talking about full-time city employees versus volunteers. So I just feel it's important to have the discussion and make sure that we are how we want to do it.
Okay.
As John's T-shirt reminds us, we only need 5 minutes.
That's right.
Okay. Airport advisory, Bill?
Okay, I also have 2 reports to give, so I will try to be brief. The Airport Advisory Committee met on Thursday, January 6th at 8 a.m. at the Hot Springs Municipal Airport. Present from the committee were Shane Miller and Don Connor. Employees present were Airport Manager Rick Breitenbach, City Administrator Jeff Temple, and Public Works Engineer Tracy Bastian. Elected officials present were Mayor Nelson and myself, and members of the public present were Gary Telkamp. Regarding communications from the public, our airport manager had been getting some calls regarding planes landing and the Black Hills Flyway Airport. He has been communicating with those callers regarding various landing and height requirements, and also with the owner of the Black Hills Flyway Airport. We had no old business. Under new business, the airport manager provided a variety of updates on some maintenance issues. He was working with not only facilities but various equipment. In December, we had 21 flight operations, 2 balloon flights, and we sold 448 gallons of aviation fuel. And at that time, the airport manager was following wholesale fuel prices. We got an update regarding from KLJ Engineering regarding the infrastructure bill. It appears that the Hot Springs Airport is earmarked to receive $159,000 for the next 5 years. There is less guidance on those funds than we have from the other ARPA funds. These funds must be under grant by the end of the 5-year period. The FAA is still working on the guidelines, and KLJ will be informing us as more information becomes available. These funds are in addition to the $150,000 in AIP entitlement funds that the airport gets each year. So it should be a good thing once we get the guidance from the feds. As a result of that potential funding, we talked about some airport improvement priorities. Some of the things we looked at is potentially a heated and insulated maintenance shed. Also installing a camping shower in the city hangar, which we think we can do with currently 2022 budgeted funds. Then we also, for some time we've been talking about, once we get the T-hangars built, to be able to purchase and install the AWOS-3, which would allow instrumented flight landings. It might also get us on the map. The downside with AWOS-3 that we're finding out is it comes with it about a mandatory $10,000 a year support and maintenance fee. I appreciate Rick looking into that and finding that out, that it's not just we buy it with the AIP funding and then, okay, now we have it, but it's got this fairly pricey annual maintenance fee. So that was some less than joyous information that we found out, so that we're continuing to investigate that. Also discussing a potential maintenance tenant in the city hangar. This maintenance tenant's looking at about 1,983 square foot of rental space. This would take up the space that we would normally rent, about storage space for 3 aircraft. So whatever we rent would need to cover the cost, what we would normally get for renting space for 3 aircrafts, and then would also have to cover any utility costs. So our meeting that day adjourned about 8:30 a.m. And then we met again on Thursday, February 3rd at 8:30 a.m. at the airport. Members present were Shane Miller, Don Connor, and Petra Wilson. Employees present were Airport Manager Rick Breitenbach, City Administrator Jeff Temple, and Public Works Engineer Tracy Bastian. Also present were Mayor Nelson and myself and Charlie Baker from KLJ Engineering. Excuse me. We were notified that longtime member Larry Vetterman announced his resignation from the committee. We want to thank Larry for all the years he served on the Airport Advisory Committee. We appreciate all the information, wisdom, and insight he brought to the committee, and wish him well on his whatever else he takes up his time with now on Thursday mornings now. So again, Larry, thank you for all you've done for the committee. Again, Rick provided an update on some of the maintenance activities. He's getting the courtesy cars fixed up to where they're safe and functional. I want to thank the folks from the golf course who's been helping us get our mowers fixed up. The expertise that Jason and his maintenance staff have out there at the golf course have helped us out at the airport. Again, we talked about we're at a point where we can buy fuel now, and again, the committee recommends that we raise our price to $5.40 a gallon. That will put us just a little bit under Chadron. Chadron is selling their fuel at $5.45 a gallon, so we're just kind of in the middle of the pack for our 65-mile radius of airports. So it's kind of where we would like to be. And KLJ is still talking with the FAA about, you know, if we can use any of that funding for some of the improvement options we're looking at, and we're also working with our maintenance client, working out some of those details and seeing if we can progress that to an actual contract. And continuing to look at our AWAS options, seeing if there's something, maybe a lower cost option, something that doesn't carry with it a $10,000 annual maintenance fee, but still allow instrumented flight rule landings and give us an upgrade from our current Super AWAS weather system. In January, we had 32 flight operations, 2 balloon flights, and we sold 728 gallons of aviation fuel. Our T-hangar pre-construction meeting will be on Wednesday, March 2nd, 3 p.m. at the airport. Next meeting, we'll start discussing whether or not we're going to have a family fun day again this year. And we're continuing to discuss how we're going to handle reservations for the new T-hangars, whether or not we can take a deposit, and what it's really going to take to reserve a hangar. So because of some other commitments, our next meeting will be Friday, not Thursday, but Friday, March 4th, 8:30 a.m. at the airport.
Did you say 8:30 a.m.?
Yes, 8:30.
Any questions for Bill? Just one. The shower.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Is that like a chemical shower?
No.
A safety shower?
A clean your body shower.
Okay.
Airport camping is getting to be a big deal, where you put your sleeping bag and your tent in your airplane, you fly around the country, you pitch your tent under your airplane, and you need a place to shower. And then you use the courtesy car of whatever airport you're flying into. You come into town, you buy groceries, you eat at the restaurants, and
well, I'm all for it.
And they actually have their own Facebook page, and it is a growing community. That's just another way to vacation. It's another way to vacation. I'm not going to do it, but folks do.
Good. That just caught my ear, and I was wondering why.
We've got the space there in the city hangar that, for very little money, we think we can put it in there without really even a capital expenditure.
Good.
And we think we can sell some aviation fuel in the process.
There you go.
Any other questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management. Larry?
Is there 3 pages? No. The Custer Fall River Waste Management District meeting started at 7 p.m. All members were present except one. The treasurer's report was given and a motion to accept was approved. The landfill contract manager reported the landfill operations are going well. Jason Hines from FMG reported that the Phase 2 cell closure and rubble site drainage projects are largely completed except for a few minor items. The results of the 2020 annual water testing report submitted in March 2021 has not yet been received by Danner. The proposed 2022 budget was discussed and approved by the board. The 2021 tire waste program resulted in 145.43 tons of tires collected and shredded for disposal. Motion was made to have Attorney Lance Russell draft the opinion of council certifying item number 20 of the assurance terms and conditions for grant number 2022G-SW-200, the Phase 2 cell closure and rubble site drainage project grant. Fuel quotes were solicited from Hideaway and Nelson Oil January 3rd, 2022. Motion was made to accept the fuel quote from Hideaway. The maturity of 3 CDs were discussed. No public comment. Next meeting will be March 10th, 2022, 7 p.m. at the Mueller Center. The meeting ended at 8:17 p.m.
Questions for Larry? Thank you, Larry. Resource preservation. Deborah?
I also have 2 reports.
Oh, Jesus.
January 5th, meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. by Steve Media. Guests were Sarah Beckham. Members present were Steve Wiener, Scott Sogi, Brian Crawford, myself, Joe Mueller, Pat Light, Kara Hagan, Mike Summer. Other guests present were Luke Royals and Sarah Beckham. Old business, 243 North River Street. Building letter to advise Mr. Johnson, the owner, about gaining entry to the Fowler Building is what we're calling it. Was received December 21st. He issued no reply and had 15 days to do so. He has not replied, and as of that meeting on January 6th at 5 p.m. Joe motioned to proceed with revision on historic preservation ordinance, seconded by Kara. 109 South Chicago Avenue, the second sign on the south side of the building. This is the State Farm business next to the food pantry. That was not applied for. Scott will follow up with the agent. The procedure was followed for the first one. It faces Chicago on the front of the building. Under new business, Sarah visited with us about our thoughts and input regarding using local artwork to help fill windows in the vacant buildings as it's been done in the past. There was discussion and the consensus was the commission would be supportive. The current signage for Wandering Bison that is covering the old body shop sign is too large according to the ordinance for either wall or pole mount. Mike motion to approve, calling it a temporary sign, which has a 6-month time period as we voted on for other previously. Motion seconded and passed. New construction at the VA is following National Park Service requirements for historical appropriateness. This is called an upgrade for modern use. The commission is supportive. Brian and Kara's terms have expired at the end of 2021. Both have requested to continue serving on the commission. This is needed, and an email will be sent by Steve to Deborah and Mayor Nelson for his consideration and to be voted on by council. We were shown the new city website and the link provided for historic preservation by Deborah Johnson. We have been requested to provide suggestions for links listed under that page. Scott reports that The form of certificate of appropriateness is being revised to simplify. February will be election of officers. Meeting adjourned at 6:03 p.m. February's meeting was adjourned February 2nd, last Wednesday at 5 p.m. Present were Steve Wienia, Scott Fogy, Deborah Johnston, Joe Mueller, Kara Hagan, Mike Summer, and Brian Crawford. Guest present were Vicki Wetzel and Sarah Beckham. Under old business, reading of ordinance revision tables until March meeting. At the 243 North River Fowler Building, entry was gained with the aforementioned search warrant that was requested at 3 p.m. on Monday, January 31st, with police escort Captain Winscott. Well, that would be Chief Winscott. Present were City Building Inspector Scott Sophie, HPC Officers Steve Wienia and Mike Summer, and Mason Uriah Llewellyn, and Structural Engineer Lance Rediger. Access was to determine the shape of the inside of the building, since there are many open windows and at one time a leaky roof. After spending approximately an hour inside, there were no glaring recent damage to cause concern that the building is in imminent danger. The roof repair appears to be holding, and while there is proof of previous water damage, there was no visible newer damage. The second floor is supported by pipe that is holding up a laminated beam that travels the depth of the building. Each 6-inch pipe has a saddle to the beam and a 4x4 concrete pad that has been poured by cutting away the main floor joists, many of which were rotten. The upstairs open windows may help to keep the inside dry as the wind can circulate. Scott will draft a letter to Mr. Johnson and place a phone call to advise on the findings. At 609, 611 North River Bodega Building, discussion on sending a letter to Mr. Rediger regarding non-compliance on his structure. 145 North Chicago, the Petty Building, Mr. Malenke is moving in temporary garden sheds to house his items, which reside behind the building. The issue is that they are not following the ordinance. And this will be followed up with by Scott Sophie. 109 North Chicago, the Farm Bureau Insurance Building, a second sign application will be paid for. Under new business, 445 North River, the Southern Hills Mercantile, certificate of appropriateness for metal awnings to be taken down next week. Cloth ones will be installed this spring, as well as a wrought iron sign bracket new sign. Covered windows will be rebuilt on Art Deco facade. Motion was approved and seconded. At 329 North River Street, the new owner of the old vault lot will be moving that sandstone block for later use, and the lot will be utilized as working space for the DOT during the Highway 385 rebuild. The infrastructure project at the VA, moving forward with construction to provide improvements for VA call center employees. While the HPC has no jurisdiction on VA property, they have taken steps to outline changes showing consideration for historical properties to the HPC. USDA letter advising of funds available for preservation. Deborah will approach the city administrator with the letter and suggest the city apply for funds to help with the Riverwalk project. Election of officers was held. Joe motioned for Steve to retain the chairman position. Karen seconded and the motion carried. Mike Summer motion to retain the secretary position. That motion was carried. And Sarah motioned to recommend bringing Sarah Beckham onto the HPC board. That motion carried, and the recommendation will be passed along to Mayor Nelson. Under discussion items, Vicki Wetzel relayed plans that their new building that will serve as a kitchen at 602 Sulphur Springs, the inn by the river. This building was moved in and is next to the motel in their courtyard adjacent to the kiosk that serves as the location for Springs Coffee. The new building will be sided to match the coffee kiosk and will be the kitchen for food to be picked up and taken or to stay and eat in their park area there. Joe motioned for Spring Coffee to continue with siding to match as the weather allows. Sarah Beckham presented her outline for Hot Springs window dressing project. Her project requires owner participation and a level of financial commitment for art of various types to enhance the empty buildings. The commission is behind her and will assist where possible. The meeting adjourned at 6:24 p.m. and our next meeting will be March 2nd, 5 p.m. here at the Municipal.
Any questions for Deborah? Thank you, Deborah. Evans Plunge Advisory, Linda?
Okay, the Evans Plunge Advisory Committee met January 13, 2022 at noon at the Plunge. Was attended by the committee chair, Linda Barbell. Members present were Chris Hansen, Akoya Zimiga, Tom Nas, Mara Smith, and Barry McNair. Absent were Kathy Wren, Troy Lurs, Allison Ritterbusch. Also present were Jeff Temple, City Administrator, and Larry Pratt. Introductions were made of Jeff and the committee members. Jeff informed the committee of a citywide pay review being initiated concerning positions of law enforcement and lifeguards. He was also very hopeful to be open on Wednesdays within 45 days, with opening 7 days per week shortly after. Jeff had to leave to attend other business. Discussion and update of the Hot Springs High School collaboration on training and classes was tabled until the February meeting, as Troy was not present to address this. Discussion of staff raises and summer bonuses. There was much discussion of raises and incentives for certifications required for the positions at the Plunge that are required before employment as opposed to what certifications earned after employment. An invitation was extended to Chris and/or Akoya to speak to the council addressing possible incentives to be earned after employment during communications from the public. Review of monthly saves. Akoya reports there were no monthly saves from December 9th to January 13th. Closure dates. Chris reports that the Plunge will be closed commencing March 7th for the annual deep cleaning, at which time Rasmussen will be setting up scaffolding to work on the HVAC system. Replacement of tiles in the steam room will take place. Tom reports that they have been replacing seats in the women's dressing room, faucets have been replaced, and hot tub failures were corrected. The next meeting is February 10th on Thursday, noon at the Evans Plunge Mineral Spring, and the public is welcome.
Did you have an end date for the closure for my minutes? You said it was starting on the 7th?
Because that was still kind of up in the air because she wasn't sure if they were going to do the whole 2 weeks.
Okay.
Or not.
Thank you.
I will ask her on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any questions for Linda?
What kind of bonuses are you guys talking about?
Probably the one that's been tabled for the last 2 or 3 meetings now is still being tabled.
Yeah, it's still being tabled. That's being kind of pushed by Chris. But then when Jeff came in, he talked about the raises that they were going, and then the reviews that were going to be made during 45 days. And so, we're not going to do both of them, but there was some bonuses that Chris had been working on for the last several months.
Keeping in mind that report was from a Evans Plunge meeting prior to.
Yeah, this was January 13th. Okay. This was the first one that Jeff attended. Okay?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Linda.
Welcome.
Oh, shit, Larry's up again.
No, I had three. I read the other one. I'm going to read this prior one, and I'm going to read the next one at the next meeting in the interest of time tonight. So.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do.
This was from Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. The meeting started at 2 p.m. 8 people were in attendance. Some public comments, signage at the tennis courts to put signs up to stop bicycles, different things, people walking in on the tennis courts. There was a member of the public asked about the food vendor's license. The mayor suggested to stop by City Hall to discuss further. And there wasn't a cemetery update. The individual wasn't there for that. On the rec update, it was stated doing house cleaning on paperwork, not networking to make a program. And the Hot Brook Recreation discussion, 90 acres, that was brought up only. Open to recreation development was the ideals. Concern is security of water well box, use of dollars for in-town instead of out-of-town concern. At the Butler Park tennis court lights, the timers have been replaced. Lights need to be checked on at different times of the night. Have the problem looked at by city workers. The Chautauqua new playground was approved by council. Can swings be kept? Is fence going to be put up? Fall material be put in? Donation is given. Playground equipment is ordered. Check sent for playground. These were the questions that were brought up for that particular subject. The Kidney Springs landslide where a big rock came down. Kidney Springs was landslides go to Public Works. So passed on to you there, Dave. All righty. Give you something to do, sir. And Brookside Shelter has been ordered and stored at the city shop. In old business, the Legion to get flags for $5, 3x5s only. It was the nylon flags at the Legion's cost. That's still in talking about that. The flag poles, Lori already counted the amount of flags to be used. 10 at Centennial Park, 37 from Legion to the Dip Bridge. Poles for that particular ones are at Ace Hardware, but John Love has got a different idea for getting the different poles to attach to those flags. The Sons of the American Legion, the recommendation is to move that flag from where it's sitting at right now, move it over closer to the band shell over there. The Sons of American Legion can remove and place more visible spot by band shell or to the side. John showed possible site, a new location, have the city do the work, digging the holes, cement volunteers, maybe recommendations to council to start project by location to be determined. Moved, let's see what we got here. On the linking fence project, at this time it was suggested to move to Centennial Park and find a good spot. Deb volunteered for trailer and labor. The meeting adjourned at 3:10. Next meeting scheduled 2 p.m. February 2nd, 2022, Wednesday. I'll have those minutes from that meeting at the next council meeting.
Sorry, when did you say the next meeting was?
Oh, next meeting, I will have the minutes from the last meeting for February 2nd. Then I'll have those that time for the next meeting for the next time, okay?
Any questions, Larry? A couple things, Larry. You talked about the food vendor. Let's hand that off to Public Works. Public Works is already working on that to make sure that everything's in place for the 4 vendor slots. The spots, I think, is what's there. and locking that area up until the city makes an announcement that we're accepting applications for mobile food vendors to utilize that spot. And depending on how many applications we get, we'll figure out how to determine who gets one of the 4 available slots.
Yes, I'm sure I could hear that.
Sharon?
I heard it.
I heard it fine.
She's got the furnace right behind her.
So the mobile food vendor that Larry had talked about, we're handing that off to Public Works. Public Works is going to be taking a look at how many spaces are there, and then the city will announce that the city is accepting applications for vendor slots. And once we have all those applications in, then we'll decide how we're going to distribute the spots. And then the new flag that you had talked about, I spoke with Billy, and they've already done the one call in the proposed area where the Sons of the American Legion would like to have it. And Billy thought that we could even punch the hole with the flagpole.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We're on track to get that taken care of.
All right.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, sir.
Planning and zoning. Deborah?
The January meeting was canceled due to lack of stuff to do, and the next meeting is proposed to be February 16th at 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Thank you. Public safety, Bill, AR?
Is it midnight?
Okay, the January 6th Public Safety meeting at 2 p.m. met here at the Mueller Center. In attendance were myself, JR and Deborah, Mayor Nelson, Chief Winscott, Frank Maynard from Fall River Emergency Management, and Fire Chief Dar Coy was also able to join the group for a short time after the meeting adjourned. Members of the public present were Officer Peterson from the Hot Springs Police Department. Update from the Chief Winscott. At that time, we had no success with applicants for the open officer positions. One interview had been held that morning, but the applicant was not considered viable. Through in December of 2021, the department responded to 345 calls. Through all of 2021, the department responded to 5,600 calls. And at that time, they were continuing to look at expanding the applicant pool. Under new business, the guiding principles and practices around law enforcement mutual assistance was reviewed by Chief Winscott at the request of Mayor Nelson as a result of questions from a council member. The subject has been reviewed in the past, but is restated here to educate the council and members of the public regarding the practice in place when a city officer is requested to respond outside the city limits. The Fall River County Sheriff's Office frequently responds to calls within the city of Hot Springs, either as a primary unit or as backup, solicited and unsolicited by the Hot Springs Police Department. These situations are not the subject here, but noted that the assistance is often more than reciprocal. Mutual assistance often occurs between the Hot Springs Police Department and typically the Fall River County Sheriff's Office when it is determined by the Sheriff's Department or the dispatcher that assistance is needed because of the severity of the incident, the urgency of the incident, or the excessive travel time for the closest deputy or the sheriff. When assistance is requested by the sheriff, a deputy, or a dispatcher, the officer must first receive permission from the chief or the captain before responding. Some of this communication is made over the phone, so those folks listening to their scanners are only getting a portion of the story. Approval is typically given to respond outside the city if there is on-duty or call-out coverage available for the city. This determination is made at the time so that the city is not left uncovered. Therefore, authorization may vary depending on the nature of the incident. This practice has been in place and works well. There have been times when an officer has heard of a situation, requested to respond, and been denied because other coverage was not available. Given the coverage area for the sheriff's office and the staffing available, it is important to have a sensible and workable mutual assistance plan as we currently have in place to enhance public safety. As the next item, ongoing goals and objectives associated with the pre-disaster mitigation plan and initial objectives for a police department management system were also discussed. Our meeting was adjourned at 3:30 p.m. and our next meeting was February 3rd at 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Any questions on that report? Okay, public safety met Thursday, February 3rd, 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Present were myself, JR, Deborah, Mayor Nelson, Chief Winscott, Frank Maynard from Fall River County Emergency Management, Lori Sherrard, the City Safety Coordinator. Also present were Lane Austinson and Logan Brown from South Dakota Wildland Fire, and Brandy Peterson from the South Dakota Office of Emergency Management. And on the phone was Heather from the South Dakota Office of Emergency Management. I'm not even going to beat up her name. Chief Winscott provided an update of significant departmental activities. More applicants have applied for the open officer and administrative assistant positions. School resource officer interviews are continuing and the selection process is progressing. The 2021 Durango is currently at Suntech and being outfitted and should be in service later this month. A Homeland Security grant has been applied for in-car computers. And in the month of January, the department responded to 472 calls. Under new business, Heather from the South Dakota Department Office of Emergency Management, Mitigation, and Recovery Manager participated via phone to discuss public assistance and grant opportunities, along with Brandy Peterson with the OEM and Logan Brown and Lane Austinson with South Dakota Wildland Fire and Frank Maynard from Fall River Emergency Management. They were there to discuss the various pre-disaster mitigation plan hazards and potential mitigations. Our discussions focused around fuel reduction opportunities near Garden Street, Battle Mountain, and Evans Heights, as well as emergency backup power needs and potential severe weather shelter needs. The grant application deadline is June 1st of this year, so we'll be working with Heather's office to submit the necessary applications. Under other new business, Lori, our safety coordinator, discussed the fire extinguisher issues with the city's new inspection provider, and will be following up on some identified concerns. Animal control service options were reviewed. Of the 3 potential options we have include refilling the animal control officer position, or move the function to the maintenance department along with the budget and add staff to that department. Or finally, we can contract all the ACO related services other than carcass pickup with Battle Mountain Humane Society. After discussion, Public Safety Committee recommends contracting the ACO services with Battle Mountain Humane Society for the requested $2,000 per month, with an appropriately worded contract that meets the needs of the city. The meeting adjourned around at 4 p.m. and our next meeting will be Thursday, March 3rd, 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center.
John, you have anything you want to add? Nope, I'm good. What I would like to add as far as the ACO position is concerned, Bill had talked about contracting those services with Battle Mountain Humane Society. Now, the current budget for the ACO is $45,000, and to take the balance that's left out of the $45,000, at $2,000 a month for Battle Mountain, that'd be $24,000, so that would leave $21,000 to apply towards a new full-time position at the street shop. So that's part of the recommendation to council, is to go ahead and create a full-time position within the street shop. If you remember at the last budget conversations, we worked to try to figure out how to fund that position, and we weren't able to. So this is seems to be a workable solution to get the city out of the animal control business, partner with Battle Mountain Humane Society, and then fund another position for the street department. That's the recommendation. Did I misstate that?
Nope.
Okay. And we also discussed this in Public Works, and Public Works agreed with it, but felt that we should hand it off to Public Safety for their conversation also, because the police department and the ACO is in fact under the police department. All right. There's several of us that need to take about a 5-minute pause, because Public Works is often some of our longer reports.
Yeah, right. After Bill and those guys talk, heck, mine's only a minute.
Let's take a few minutes and we'll be right back.
I had that last piece of bologna before I came up here.
I'll give my report.
Thank you, Tom.
Public Works, Dave, Craig?
Go ahead, Dave.
Craig will be doing it this week. I was not able to attend that meeting.
Okay, our meeting was February 1st.
Speak up.
I am speaking up. Mayor Nelson, Tracy, Deborah Johnston, Craig, Jeff, and a lady by the name of Ashley, I didn't get her last name, called in. Under new business, lease and royalty agreement with Simons. Bob Nelson, or Mayor Nelson, excuse me, says that he's going to call him and I guess request a meeting or just talk to him. Veterinarian service we talked about, don't need nothing to do what she's going to do in town. The contracted city snow removal, Jeff's going to work on some kind of wording to where they gotta do certain things for the city hot springs so the city don't have to go behind it and clean up their messes. Somerset Street, the wall, we put a question mark because we don't know what that's on there, what's it all about. We have no clue. No clue, nobody does. Okay, street maintenance department. Battle Mountain Road needs milling. We talked about that. It's going to happen in the spring. Tennis court lights. Larry talked about that. So did we. And the streets, we're going to check into why the lights are on certain times and stuff. Valley View, it's going to happen in the spring. The sidewalk down there that had the holes in it, the street department fixed them. They figure it's good enough until the street project goes through. Burning the brush pile, we're going to look at it later dates. We have to make sure a lot of phone calls are made and snow on the ground because we can't do it right now. LP tank at street shop, I need to talk to Misty about that. So I'll be in tomorrow to talk to you, Misty.
Just don't come too early.
How about 8? The
between 9 and 1.
Wastewater treatment improvement updates. We talked about the lid for the digester. It's done. It's going to be shipped out. And Tracy's working on some bids to get it put on. Multiple house water services. We decided that every house needs their own meter and sewer hooked to. Annual water main replacement on Main Street. That break, we found out that there's a humongous rock under a bell which split the pipe. And it looks like all that pipe wasn't bedded like it's supposed to. So it looks like the city's gonna have to dig up all that pipe. I don't know if do we probably replace it and bed it properly like it's supposed to be. Galveston Heights Assessment District, going forth with it, I guess. That's all we really talked about. February 15th is our next meeting at 1 o'clock at the Mueller Center. Any questions?
Did you find out anything about exercising the valve?
We talked about that and it was determined, yes, it needs to be done.
All right. Keep that.
It's kind of hard to get a straight answer around here anymore.
We want to keep that on our agenda.
I didn't say it out loud, did I? So that needs to be like number 1 or 2 on our new items. And
yeah, I want to keep that on the agenda.
Craig talked about the water break up by the courthouse, and then the water valve that needed to be replaced down by the Flatiron. And it mentioned that it's been identified that pipe is about 40 years old.
42.
42. And it wasn't embedded correctly. They bedded it the way that they thought was appropriate for the time, and we found out that that's not the right way to do it. So I asked Tracy to put together an estimate of the footage from Dale's Restaurant down to Medicott Avenue to replace all of that water line. The last thing we want to have as a city is to have a brand new highway laid over that old pipe, and somewhere after the new road is in, have it break again. The state wouldn't be real happy with us, nor would our citizens be happy with us, and they shouldn't if we allow that to happen. And we'll have the discussion with the contractor at the pre-construction meeting, which I'll talk about in my mayor's report. But the estimate in today's cost to replace that is about 2,000 feet of pipe.
2,000 feet, yes.
We're looking at about $350,000 to replace that pipe. So that will be an additional expense to the city. That will need to come out of the water department. I just want to let council know that that is going to be in front of us. So we need to make sure that we get that water pipe replaced before we put a brand new highway over the top of it. Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, we got it all and we discussed something I was gonna bring up later, but thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Southern Hills Golf Course, that's typically Jeff. As you see, Jeff has joined us tonight. Jeff has asked Tracy to fill in for his typical city administrator report. Did Jeff talk with you at all about anything from the golf course?
He did not. The packet he gave me, I don't have a report from the golf course.
All right. Well, that takes us to Misty, the finance officer report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep it short since we're getting a little late. You do have the following financial reports through the end of January that you typically review. The profit, year-to-date profit and loss summary report does have red. I'd like to remind you that the first few months of the year are typically slow for revenue collection and heavy on expenses. If you have any concerns about any of the red you see in these documents, let me know, but we do have a good plan for 2022 and I fully expect the condition to improve. You have your budget to actual fund summary report. Pretty boring early on in the year, nobody's exceeding anything quite yet. You have your cash balance report that shows you the current cash balances in our Wells Fargo main checking and our Bank of the West checking account by fund. And then you have your investment reports by institution and investment type that includes all the cash assets in the city. We do have a CD, it's a wastewater CD used for debt service reserve that's maturing on February 19th. We're recommending it roll over for the same term and at the same rate at the same location that it's at currently. That's 12 months at 0.15% at First Interstate Bank. I'll give you an update on the 164 W-2s for 2021 that I did and the 56 W-2 corrections. 28 1099s for 2021 were also prepared and distributed. A little bit of an update on the Martin Street Sewer and Water Improvement Project. The assessment is wrapping up, coming to an end. After you approved the resolution tonight, it'll become effective 20 days after publication. Once it's effective, a record of assessment is prepared and mailed once again by certified mail to all property owners that are impacted, and then certified to the county auditor for inclusion in the next year property tax bill. Collections will continue for the term of 10 years or until it's paid in full. As with all assessments, it'll be tracked and reported within our fund financial statements and annual audit reports. I talk about the 2022 municipal elections. This year, we have the mayoral seat and 4 council seats, 1 in each ward expiring. The members with terms expiring include Ward 1, Larry Pratt, Ward 2, Bill Lukens, Ward 3, J.R. Huddleston, and Ward 4, Caitlin Turner Green. The earliest date to begin circulating nominating petitions is March 1st, and the deadline for filing is March 29th at 5 p.m. There's a law that sets the number of required signatures on nominating petitions. It's the 5% of the number of registered voters recorded by the county auditor on the second Tuesday of January. This year, the total number of signatures required on nominating petitions are as follows. For mayor, it's 50. For Ward 1, it would be 43. Ward 2, 35. Ward 3, 34, and Ward 4, 36. Remember, some voters may have been impacted by our recent redistricting. The auditor's office sent out letters to voters impacted by our change. But if you or a voter are unsure of their ward placement, you can call the Fall River County Auditor's Office for confirmation. You or someone you know is interested in running or has any questions regarding the responsibilities or of a council member or mayor or the election process, please ask. And an update on where you can find information on the 97th session of the South Dakota Legislature. Those updates are available for you in my memo.
I give you an update on medical marijuana licensing in Hot Springs. We've reached our 90-day deadline for the first round of applications to the state and have been told that they're working through applications with deadlines coming up. During the last council meeting, you approved Resolution 2022-6, which increased wage scales for the police captain by $5, police officers by $4, Evans Plunge part-time head lifeguard by $2, and part-time lifeguards by $2, and directed the mayor and finance office staff to complete an analysis within 45 days of all other city positions. You've heard about this 45-day window several times tonight. There's been much discussion regarding pay rates for various city positions throughout my time as finance officer. A full compensation study and analysis was done by the Weston Group in late 2019. We've recently reviewed the South Dakota Department of Labor occupational wage data for Western South Dakota, and also the South Dakota Municipal League salary wage survey, which all support the statement that the city is fairly paying wages in essentially all city positions. In my opinion, unless you cherry-pick positions to rename, the data does not support our recent or any future wage increases. At this point, I don't have a recommendation to bring before council for pay increases for all other city positions, even though it would seem fair to do so. How we intend to pay for both the recent and any future substantial increases to wages must be discussed. We have no current options to raise property taxes to pay for the added expense, so any additional increases must be considered within this reality, lest we create unmanageable expenses for future councils and citizens. As a reminder, our next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 22nd, due to the President's Day holiday on the 21st.
Any questions for Misty? Well done. Thank you, Misty. Well, that brings us to Jeff and his city administrator report.
Okay.
Tracy?
Yes. Number one item on here is, and I'm guessing this may have come from the Evans Plunge Advisory Board, maybe not. It says we are recommending that we do not do the puppy plunge on March 6th. The parvovirus is back and running rampant again, and the local veterinarians are advising against it. So this is a quarantine the puppies, I guess, is what we're looking at. Item number 2, currently updating and correcting the golf operations manager position. Anticipate submission proposal to the council on 21st of February 2022 in order to announce the position no later than, he likes to use acronyms. Yes, I'm still getting used to just acronyms. NLT, no later than 01 March 2022. Third item, library director position vacancy has been announced nationwide. He does not elaborate as to what websites. Item 4, we have now linked the Springs Tides publication to the city homepage and have added a direct link for citizens who would want to contact the city administrator by email. We are working on a work order reporting system that will allow the public as well as staff to report public works issues and provide a tracking system so that the council or staff can check on the status of any work order. That's new to me. I am not.
We used to have work orders.
I mean, we have the work order system right now. It looks like this would be a way that that's actually made public.
And trackable.
And trackable. Trackable is the main thing. Number 5, Mayor Nelson did mention this a moment ago, advising the council that we are proposing a change order to the DOT project, and the pricing on that, I used to come up with that, I used the footage, I used all of the current light items, the bid prices that are actually for the project, because we already have 12-inch water main. We have a bid item for. We already have the trenching. We already have the bedding material. There would be some additional charge for mobilization. Estimate probably on the low end is $350,000. I am aware we had a meeting with the contractor, the utilities contractor, DRM, out of Gillette, Wyoming. They did mention that due to the volatility of pricing on piping and everything like that, I mean, they locked in their bid based on, buying pipe for the quantity that they were anticipating. However, they would not do any adverse markup. If there was a change in the price, they would only charge just the cost difference. So that to me was a very good indication from them that they understand that we need a fair deal, but they can't obviously lose money having that additional work. The timing of that change order, we'll probably try to get it taken care of and initiated as soon as possible. However, that work will not happen until next year. That's 2023's part of the project. So the only part of the water main that is going to be replaced this year that is part of the bad stuff is Jennings Avenue between North River Street and North Chicago. So the rest of it, just keep our fingers crossed that old ductile iron, which has already broken 3 times on us in the last 3 years, we just hope that it hangs in there. Corrosion issues have been very bad on that. We also noted, just to add to, not only did we find the large rocks put back in the bedding. Basically what they did, they just excavated and whatever came out they put back in. Yep. And down in that area close to the river, you've got large, very large rocks. We actually saw one, well, the one that was close to the break was a big guy, 500 or 600 pound kind of rock. One of the other issues we noticed when we were working with that valve that had failed, part of the reason it failed is the corrosion just of the bolts on the mechanical joints, and the actual mechanical joints is very severe in that area. That is also before the utilization of epoxied fittings. So we definitely have a strong motivation, very strong motivation to change that out. I mean, it's 42 years old. That's really not old, but it's not new either. So I guess it's perhaps a good thing that we know we have that problem now rather than find it out 3 years from now when there's a brand new highway on top of it. The final item on Jeff's report, I think this has already been mentioned. Both Public Safety and Public Works committees have concurred with the staff recommendation to modify the current contract with the Humane Society to include animal control responsibilities, thereby removing the responsibility from the police department. Recommendation will be to utilize the labor savings to add 1 position to the maintenance department.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
I have a couple of short items for you. I want to remind council there will be a pre-construction meeting with complete concrete at the Mueller Center on Wednesday, February 9th at 9 a.m. A notice of a possible forum has been posted at City Hall and on the city's website. I also want to remind the public that with the resignation of Caitlin Turner Green from Ward 4, the residents interested in filling the remainder of the term in Ward 4 should submit their application to City Hall prior to the February 22nd council meeting. If council chooses to fill the vacancy, it will be to fulfill the remainder of Caitlin's current term. Anyone wanting to run for the upcoming Ward 4 vacancy in the next election will need to circulate a petition to be on the June ballot. Petitions can begin being circulated on March 1st and need to be returned to City Hall by March 29th. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I got a question for Misty. I got a question for Misty real fast. On the amount of signatures you have to get per ward, how come Ward 1 was so much higher, not a lot higher, but higher than the other 3 wards when we added to Ward 1?
Yeah, these are registered voters, so not just households.
Don't go, okay. Thank you. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
And Tracy,